from the Washington, D.C. area. It's the Inside Scoop, all the news that our viewers want to know. Now, here's the host.
Good evening. Welcome to Inside Scoop. I'm your host, Catherine Reed. Joining me tonight is Donna Goldbranson and Ryan Cotnoir, who are from the SPARC, which stands for Specially Adapted Resource Clubs. So welcome, Donna. Welcome, Ryan. We are so anxious to hear more about this very unique program, which meets the needs of people in a community that I hesitate to call it disability community, because I think it's more about ability than disability, and it seems to me that that is the whole foundation of your clubs.
That's right. That's right. It's really wonderful to be here, and it's so nice to meet you. I brought my friend Ryan here. He's a SPARC Club member, and he's going to kind of tell us a little bit more about what we do at SPARC and how we started. But you're right. We are out in the community. We're a part of the community, a small part of the large community. And so this is answering the question, what happens to my adult child after they graduate from high school? Well, we found out about 9 or 10 years ago that there weren't a lot of opportunities for a good many of our friends who were graduating out of the system. And so in a very grassroots kind of effort, we had some families get together and we started SPARC together. What do you think of that, Ryan?
I think it's pretty wonderful, and I think what SPARC really embodies is the
why don't you look at Catherine?
I think what SPARC really embodies is the magical feeling you get when you're out of high school, but you don't have to worry about having nothing to do because it's all right there for you. While they don't entertain you at SPARC per se, they make you be more independent and more adult-like than say you would in high school, where you have all those fun but sometimes boring classes. They do it in a more fun, invigorating, and minorly educational way that really tells the young adult, I am here, I am on my way. It may be a while, but I'm going to get there someday. I think I can.
Great, Ryan. That's awesome. Where do we go for SPARC? Where do we hang out? Why don't you tell Catherine?
I was getting to that, yeah.
Yeah, tell Catherine.
SPARC meets in various community centers 5 days per week, but the members can choose how long they attend. And unlike school, you don't have to go if you don't want to, but it's a very good respite for the parent or caregiver, and the addition of PCA, that stands for personal care attendants, really act as what would have been classroom aides when they were in high school, except that they have to provide the attendance note. Take that back. Take that back. As I was saying, the members have to provide their own aides. It's not like in high school where the aide already was theirs. It's more of a grassroots way in that way. Okay. It's like a circle of life that starts after graduation and continues until you're 55. A couple years, up until about 2 or 3 years ago, it started when you were 22, but I lowered the age because when you're an adulthood starts at 18, and
right.
Currently in the special ed program we go until 22, but what if you graduate from high school at 18 and you have a disability? Well, that's where SPARC comes in, and we do really neat stuff like computer lab, and we have a wonderful and dynamic art therapist who helps stimulate and enrich our minds creatively through monthly art lessons, which the members pay for, and they also have to pay a $400 fee to come to SPARC. But in the end, it's all worth it. And what Donna and his staff provide is a warm, enriching, and hardworking environment to get the member as far as they want to go educationally, and SPARC proves you can never stop learning.
Awesome, Ryan. Thanks.
It is. I believe in that. What are your favorite things to do? What are the highlight? What do you look forward to doing?
I look forward to just hanging out with my friends and having a good time, but it really helps me accomplish tasks like greeting my friends appropriately, using appropriate language.
So learning life skills?
Thank you, Donna.
You're welcome, Ryan.
Learning life skills.
Can I tell Catherine a little bit about what you were talking about, the PSAs? Can I do that?
Sure. Here's my friend Donna.
Okay. So there's a couple unique things about SPARC, Catherine, and that was what Ryan was kind of talking about. And we really believe that Medicaid and any public funding really belongs to an individual. And so we're a very unique program in that we are non-Medicaid. So Ryan and his friends use their Medicaid waivers if they have them, and they bring their own personal support with them. And so we're leveraging public space in the community centers, they're using public transportation, and they're really building a very customized dynamic day because they are in charge of their day. So our self-advocates are out in the community doing the things that they want to do with the right support, because we really do think with the right support you can do anything no matter what your abilities are.
And that is a very unique model, because a lot of the other programs are more structured simply because they have to meet certain requirements by the county, by Medicaid, as to the oversight so this does give you a great deal of autonomy. It gives the people in your program a great deal of autonomy to choose too.
It sure does. So going out in the community and making your choices and learning to be confident and to be independent and working on those independent skills is really the crux of what we're about and what we're trying to learn in a fun, functional, natural setting, the community centers and the community at large, each and every day. And you know, in Virginia, we really do have very, very long waiting lists. And a lot of our friends at SPARC, when we started this, we're 8 years old now, and we started from a focus group and looked at what services were missing in our county and what are transitioning young adults out of high school, what were they graduating to. And we do have a human services system that does really have a track for folks who are going to be in supported employment and be vocational. But what are we doing with some of our friends who fall outside of that service system, who don't qualify for Medicaid, who don't qualify for Social Security, and who are not really tracking to be vocational right out of school? So what we do at SPARC is we learn life skills, we learn vocational skills, we do community service, and we do enrichment activities like Ryan was talking about, art and music therapy and all kinds of things that everybody does in a community center. So that's really what makes this a pretty unique program.
I would say that it is, and two things that stand out to me right away is the sense of autonomy as well as a sense of community. Because I read a book once called The Happiness Hypothesis by Jonathan Haidt. And at the end of this book, he says that what he discovered in looking at the history of the world and spiritual guidelines or writings or teachings is that the three things he thinks make people happy are a sense of autonomy, a community, and spirituality of some kind. Some greater, a sense of there being something greater. And it seems like you have got these young people at a place where they can make certain decisions about themselves, and yet they look forward to being together, and there's a community. About how many people are at any one time are in the club or at the center?
What do you think, Ryan?
May I answer that one? Mm-hmm. Well, it really depends. Some days we have a quote unquote small unquote club, which means like
5 people.
5 people. And on a really big day, combined clubs, you get 13 or 14.
Up to 24, right?
Up to
wow,
20,
that's a lot.
Up to 24, yeah. And it really enriches our creativity. And if you want your young adult child to really see what the world is like beyond the couch, as they say.
Beyond the couch.
Come. No, not beyond the couch. Beyond the couch.
Join SPARC.
Join SPARC. And if you would like our website, it's www.sparc SPARC.
Look at me.
SPARCsolutions.org.
Good
There
job.
you go.
There you go.
SPARCsolutions.org. And people can find out information about your locations, yes?
Yes.
Yes, right? And
Yes.
see some pictures, right?
Yes, and yours truly is on the site, but what I really mean by that is we all have, and this will influence parental decisions too. And we all have our different abilities, and we all have our abilities and things we can and can't do, but SPARC really focuses on the can instead of the can't.
That's right.
We're a can-do
That's right.
club with big dreams and bigger opportunities, but you can make the difference. Parents, caregivers, you can make the difference, and members too. You may be a little young now, but when you get to be 22, this will hopefully all make sense. And we're just so you know, Donna is not a teacher. Her position is executive director, and what that means is she runs the whole organization, and she helps you make sure that SPARC is the right fit. SPARC is the right fit for you and your PCA, because he or she is part of the team too.
We build teams. We do build teams, right?
Yes, and we do things like sort food for St. Anne's and Reston, and we also do a project for the Ronald McDonald House. So there's a whole lot, and we also teach the lesson that you don't always get a reward for giving back to the community. The reward is the giving back. It's like the proof is in the picking.
Good job, buddy.
That's a very good job. I love the community service
Yes.
aspect of this.
It's really one of the favorite activities at SPARC. Really, truly. I think all of our club members really enjoy doing the project.
Truly, and may I add, we need to wrap up now, so please visit our website at www.sparcsolutions.org, SPARC
That's right.
solutions.org. Thank you all for being with us.
Thank
And
you, Ryan.
Have a nice evening, folks.
Thank you so much, Ryan. You are absolutely awesome. So when we
Can I
get
do it?
back, we're going to talk a little bit more with Donna. We're going to visit with Rachel. We're going to talk with Lee Ann about other services they offer. So please stay tuned.
One day these rats were playing in the woods. Wanted some matches and that's no good. Listen to smoke before you give it a try.
Only you.
Don't play with matches. Don't play with fire. Cause there's nothing very funny about ripped off life. Nothing very nice on a homeless mind. So if a gorgeous force is what you desire, don't play with matches. Don't play with fire.
Only you can prevent wildfires.
Fire.
Why don't you just wash your car at home?
When I wash my car, everything runs down the street and down into the storm drains. With all the chemicals in the soaps and waxes, the last thing I want to do is poison my own drinking water. At least here, it's all contained and recycled on site. That's why I also take my car in for oil changes instead of doing it myself. I might take a chance on spilling stuff. You know what the best part is?
What?
More time to kick back and watch the game.
How far would you go to protect the planet?
I want you to build an ark.
Here we go. Okay, that's good. Oh, okay. Ow!
Maybe there's another way.
People, the flood is imminent!
Is it too much to ask for a little precipitation?
Go to fightglobalwarming.com to find out what you and your community can do to reduce global warming pollution.
Somewhere around the world, there are men and women of the armed forces risking their lives, helping rebuild communities after natural disasters, collecting toys for needy children, tutoring kids in school. These are your sons and daughters who work to keep us safe, secure, and free. Dedicated men and women who put their country first.
We're back to the Inside Scoop. Here again, your host.
Welcome back to Inside Scoop. I'm Catherine Reed, your host for tonight's program about SPARC, which is Specially Adapted Resource Clubs here in Northern Virginia. Joining me is the founder and the executive director, Donna Goldbranson, and also a new program is SPARC Connects, and the director of that, Lee Ann Caulkins, is also here with us. So thank you, ladies, for coming and telling us about this program. In the last segment, we met Ryan. Very well spoken. I love the fact that he really demonstrated the sort of the mantra, the core values of your program right up front. So tell us a little bit more. Let's start with how you founded this organization. I know you said you were 8 years old.
Right, we are. We're 8 years old. So some of the families who are part of SPARC right now actually participated in a focus group. Their adult children were aging out of everything, aging out of school, aging out of rec and social programs. Vocation wasn't on the horizon, and so what were they going to do? And so we all kind of got together, and I have to say SPARC is really is an organization that started with champions and true partners, and that's really what we are. That's our success. We partner really well in the community. We leverage all of our resources, and we have some tremendous partners. Lee Ann has just come on board in the last year. It's almost 1 year ago.
Almost 1 year in August.
That we started a fantastic program that's expanded some services that were much needed. After we got all of our young adults kind of in the community center, rocking and rolling and doing the cool things that we do, we really found out that there were some more things that we needed along a case management level. And so we have a contract with the county, and I'm going to let Lee Ann kind of kick it off and tell you about the great things going on at SPARC.
So as Donna was saying, once our young adults sort of got into the community and began learning all of these independent living skills, we realized that it was really time to start looking at the future. Because for years, these young adults had just been sitting at home. And now that they were learning skills, they were really ready to move on in their lives, just like any other adult. They were beginning to look at vocation. They were beginning to look at, what happens when mom and dad can no longer take care of me? And they were beginning to be ready to answer those questions. So SPARC Connect was basically founded. We are looking completely at the future. And we got a grant from the county, from Fairfax County.
That's
it's a
excellent.
two-year grant. And our partners for the grant are JESA, the Jewish Social Service Agency. They are tremendous partners of ours, and their help and assistance cannot be overstated.
That's true.
We actually have a social worker with JESA who comes and hangs out with us twice a week. We have a marriage and family therapist with JESA who also does a family engagement portion for SPARC, which really helps us involve the families in a level we weren't able to before in the SPARC program.
Well, this is very much a holistic it's a holistic approach. So in other words, it's not just the person who's participating, it's also their aide if they have one, and now you're bringing in the family, and now you're doing sort of, I think it's referred to as sort of wraparound services, which is to say, now that we've met these hurdles and we've got them on a path, what else can we provide? And I think that's, I sit on the board of Our Daily Bread, which works with the county too, and we find the same thing. It's like, we have this base of clients and this is what we're doing, but what else can we do, or how else can we connect them to other services? So that's kind of a natural outgrowth of what you started.
Right, and it really does have to come from, we call it the membership, the club members. So as they are growing and learning and aging, there's different transition points in life. I'm certainly different than I was when I was 25. I'll get you. And so what happens at these different stages of life? And then, so needs change, and we're constantly taking our cue from our families and from the young adults at SPARC, and we are looking at what kinds of things can we connect you with. We call Lee Ann the community navigator, and so really, all of our service systems, sometimes people fall through the cracks, and who is doing it well, because we don't want to duplicate services. We have so many great partners, and there are so many great nonprofits in Northern Virginia doing good work, and how can we kind of link up and connect services and give our young adults and our families what they need during every step of the way as they're aging.
There are a lot of nonprofits in Fairfax County. It's a huge county, and a lot of them are small. And what you do find is that people are operating sort of in a silo, doing their thing, not realizing there are other people doing something similar. I run into this all the time because of the work I do. It's kind of like, how can we better partner, collaborate, connect? Where's the intersectionality of what we're doing that we can work with someone else? I think there is a great demand for that in the county. I think we have a growing number of people aging out of the system. We have a growing number of people being with disabilities or being diagnosed on the spectrum who are going
Yes.
into our school system. And then that magic number 18 hits, and then what happens? And so I think looking down the road, so do you have sort of a long-term strategy or some idea of where you're going with this?
Absolutely. I offer services in what's called a life plan. And the life plan is really, it's looking at the continuum of life and what are your needs right now, what are your wants right now, and what are your wants going to be 10 years from now. So you may not be interested in vocation right now, but maybe you're interested in volunteer work. I can help connect you and match you with volunteer opportunities that would be best for you. I also start talking about, okay, let's talk about the future. Do you need to set up a special needs trust? Do you need to start looking into guardianship? If you haven't done that yet, it should be done in many cases. I also do what I call non-Medicaid case management, which is I offer regular case management services for those who are looking to begin applying for the waivers, or for those who have questions about, SSDI or SSI, or even other questions. We personal support attendants are a great part of our program, and so I help people sort of write the ads to find a personal support attendant, and we can help find you that aid and that companion for your club member.
So how do people find out about your club? How do you do outreach into the community so that people know who you are, what you offer, how to find you, whether the program is right for their...
Right. That's a big challenge for us. It's a huge challenge for us. So what we're trying to do is work with the high schools in the area and try to catch these young adults and these families as early, in their transition plan as we possibly can. What I most worry about are friends who have graduated from high school that we don't know about, because it really is a very different world. After mandated services stop in the school system, when you're, it can be at any stage between 18 and 21. Where is everybody going? So we really do try and work with the Long-Term Care Coordinating Council, the Community Services Boards, the transition specialists in all of the high schools, and in this idea of partnership, the Virginia Ability Alliance. I mean, we really are trying as a disabilities community to be connected as thoroughly as we can, but it is really a great challenge. Don't have a lot of marketing and PR budget. So
so in my other real life, I'm a social media consultant, and I work with a lot of nonprofits on how you use social media. So I have worked with just about every kind of nonprofit you can think of in the Northern Virginia area. I know exactly what you're talking about. So I call it doing the heavy lifting of humanity with no resources.
With no resources.
Yes.
So I know exactly where you are with it. And so I think you're right. I think you have to be creative, and I think within the disabilities community too, there's probably more opportunities in the future to have conferences and other things in the area that brings everybody together in the same room to figure out what the resources are, where this intersectionality is, and also how people can work more collaboratively to fill in the gaps so that you don't get mission creep, which is something you have to be very, you're 8 years old, and so you're like, what can we do, what do we want to do, and what would be beyond us, and start to stress your resources.
Right. We do have to stay very focused and not duplicate services, and we do have tremendous partners. And I think SPARC would not be as successful as it is right now if we weren't really heavily reliant on partners, because we know we can't do everything, and we know that the span of services that are needed is immense. I mean, we're talking about long-term care. We are talking about your whole life for a person with a disability, and the family needs change, family circumstances change. Do you have some funding source? Do you not? Are you waiting for it? What happens in these shifts? So it is very important to stay connected with our community and with our partners, and that's really one of the greatest services that Lee Ann does, is being able to kind of pull all of this together, so we're not trying to do everything, because we really can't. But I do want Lee Ann to kind of tell you some cool stuff that she's kind of doing with SPARC Connects with the life skills program and the vocational skill program, because that means a lot to families.
So one of the greatest pushes we're finding is this push for employment, especially with employment first happening within the state. So we have these 2 10-week workshops that we designed. One of the 10-week workshops is our life skill class. We call it our soft skill class because it really prepares you with the basic social skills you need for employment. So how do I communicate? How do I ask for help? What do I do if I have a disagreement with a coworker? What do I do if my boss is mean to me? What if I have to call out sick? How do I do that appropriately? So all of this is very, very important baseline behavior that a lot of our young adults just really, it's not common sense to them, and it's stuff that they really need to learn. That class is actually taught by a social worker from Jessa. She's wonderful. We had a class go through and graduate, and it was very successful. Ryan was actually a graduate from that class.
Well, he's very confident.
He's
so
very
if he is your
He's a graduate.
Demonstration of how well it works, I think Ryan is a great spokesperson for how well it works.
It really is. And then those who are ready to sort of move on to more basic pre-vocational skills, we have our pre-vocational class. It's also 10 weeks. It's taught by a vocational expert from Jessa who comes down to us from Maryland once a week. And that is very, very sort of focused work on how do I write a resume, what do I put on a resume, what sort of job should I be looking at, what's my personality, how do I dress for an interview, how do I succeed at an interview, time management. All these are very important. They also, at the very end of it, they do a mock interview.
Nice.
And what our vocational expert actually did was she brought in an employer, a real employer, at the end of class because she was so impressed with how our young adults were doing, and he did a mock interview for them. And he was very, very complimentary. He said they did a great job. So it was really
feather in
wonderful.
their cap.
It is, and I do think role playing helps. It reduces the anxiety of I'm not sure what will happen, and everybody suffers from that, no matter how old you are. If you go into a situation you've never been in, there's a lot of anxiety, and role playing certainly helps to do that. And I think life skills are something that they have to feel comfortable in the very basic things before they can even focus on doing a task.
Right. Crawl, walk, run, right?
Yeah, it sounds like you have really got this well put together. And we're going to take a break in a few minutes, and I want to come back and talk a little bit more about some of the specific programs and talk about the range of young adults that are in your program, because some of the programs are far more narrow in their focus, and it seems like that these clubs have really built a community that's not narrowly defined at all. You've got quite a mix of young people there all together, and I think that's probably a great benefit to the culture of your program.
It really is.
If I had to guess.
It is. You are absolutely right. Absolutely.
Like I said, I kind of work in this community peripherally because I work with a lot of nonprofits, and so I was not familiar with your clubs, but I'm so glad to have you both here so that we can learn more about what it is you have to offer this community. So please, come back after the break. We're going to talk with Lee Ann, we're going to talk with Donna some more, and we're going to introduce you to Rachael.
That's right.
And we are going to have a lot more to tell you about this wonderful program that we call SPARC.
Saving for retirement might be easy for some folk, but for others, it might take a little more work. And for those who haven't started, there are still things you can do to catch up.
Oh, that is good news.
Like getting out from underneath past debt. And don't get wrapped up with high-interest credit cards.
Get you some eyes.
Be diversified with your investments. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. Your financial goals are not out of reach. The choice is clear. For a happy ending, choose to save.
Everyone with alcohol and drug addiction is in the same boat. With treatment, you can find solid ground. For drug and alcohol information and treatment referral for you or someone you know, call 1-800-662-HELP.
Dude, are you sure you want this tattoo? Because just do it.
Some mistakes in life are permanent. Like hearing loss. To learn how to protect your hearing, visit asha.org.
You've probably heard about heart disease, but did you know that it's the #1 killer of women nationwide? Heart disease claims more lives each year than breast cancer, lung cancer, or strokes combined. But there are steps you can take to protect yourself against it. For more information on how you can prevent heart disease, contact your local American Heart Association or visit their website at www.americanheart.org.
We're back to the Inside Scoop. Here again, your host.
I need a job.
Your host for Inside Scoop. We are talking about the SPARC clubs tonight. My guest is Lee Ann Caulkins, who is the director of SPARC Connect, and we are joined by Rachael Stern, who is one of the club members of SPARC, to talk a little bit more about her experience.
Well, I've been at SPARC for about 6 years, and it's really fun, and we do activities like we go out into the community, like we're going to the art exhibit in DC, and I'm really looking forward to that. And also, we do cooking projects every Monday, which I really like that. And I have, sometimes I think what makes our club like special is that we have people that support us, and like we can learn from each other. And like I have a service dog, and sometimes I teach my friends about service dogs and what they can like learn from that.
So Rachael brought up a really great point in that we really consider SPARC a club run by our club members.
Oh, wow.
And so we really encourage their input and their feedback on activities, and staff, we really consider ourselves there to facilitate. So we always welcome when club members say, hey, I have a really great idea. Ryan once brought us a really fun experiment that we did. We actually
that was really
love
fun.
Science,
That
right?
was really fun. We do science experiments. I really like that, like learning different stuff with science. That's fun.
We do some pretty fun things, and we have art therapy once
therapy
month,
is fun,
right?
Yeah.
Every Friday.
Friday is fun. I really like doing art.
So we have an art therapist who comes to us. Her name is Anne, and she does wonderful art. We actually use professional materials.
Wow.
And she does a great job at adapting it.
So that we can all do it.
And what did you have last summer? The art show, right?
Oh yeah, the art show was really fun.
Absolutely, an art show.
And we did circles, and our parents came and saw all the art that we did, so that was really awesome.
It was really wonderful. Because of the quality of art that they end up producing, we actually had an art show, and it was on display at Northern Virginia Community College.
Wow.
And
that was really awesome.
No kidding.
It was. Members of the community came, and parents came, and actually they put up their art for sale.
That's fantastic. Well,
It
that's
was
one
wonderful.
way of demonstrating, too, what talent you have in your clubs.
Yeah.
It sounds like you have a group of lifelong learners, and
We
how
do.
wonderful that they can self-direct the things that they're interested in doing, which makes it way better than school, right?
It's way better than school because I'm with my friends. And
You're with
I
your
like
friends,
being
and you
with
don't
my
have to
friends.
study stuff that you don't want to study, right?
That's a good thing, too.
And the other great thing about our club is that we really accept all young adults or all adults with lifelong disabilities. So this means adults with physical disabilities, adults with developmental disabilities, adults with intellectual disabilities, or any combination thereof. And because of that, we really just have this wide range of ability level and skill level and personality in our group, and everybody's friends, which is another really great part.
Yeah, so we can all help each other, like I said, and teach each other things, and that's really cool.
We have individuals who are nonverbal communicators, and they still communicate with our people who are verbal communicators. And that is another beauty of SPARC. And a lot of people say, how can you do that? How can you have people with such varying abilities together?
That's true. I mean, I can see where immediately, because that's some of the discussion you get in classrooms.
Yes.
In school classrooms is how do you manage various disabilities. But the thing here is that you've got people who are actually older, number one, and with every passing year, I'm assuming they acquire higher and higher levels of skills, which adds to the community.
And I will say, you know, it is definitely a constant challenge to try to come up with something because, you know, staff will be thinking, this is a wonderful activity. But then we're like, well, we have these people who are visually impaired. So how do we think outside the box and make this activity so that our visually impaired friends can participate
and I
too?
think that we do that really well so that everybody has fun at SPARC.
Yes.
So does that tap your creativity, Rachel, when you have to take something that and then
fun
adapt it? Like how do we help everybody participate?
But it's fun to do that because then we learn something different too. So that's fun too.
We really do. We've been talking a lot about our memory and how to use our memory, both our short-term memory and our long-term memory and our working memory, right?
Yeah.
And so doing activities like this, doing our cooking activities, doing our art, which works our fine motor. We also do movement, which works the gross motor skills. We've been on a wellness binge right now where we're talking about yoga and mindfulness, and we're really bringing that into it and learning about how mindfulness changes the brain and how we can really use it in our daily lives.
To calm ourselves and just to
Exactly.
be calm with ourselves if we're having a stressful situation.
Yeah, and how you can use it in your daily life. Like if you're anxious before a doctor's appointment, we have lots of our club members find that there's a lot of anxiety involved around the medical part of it. So, you can use this in any area. Literally sitting at home, you can use your mindfulness.
I think these are great skills. I need to learn
really-
these skills. I need to learn all these skills.
I think so.
So where do you find the people who come in? How do you build, so somebody has an idea and we want to study yoga.
Okay.
How do you then go out and find somebody who understands how to work with a diverse community of people with varying ability levels?
So that is definitely a great question. We are always looking
for people to help us, and
Yes.
volunteers. We always ask for volunteers to come help us do activities and stuff.
We love volunteers. We've actually just lost several of our volunteers. We have gotten several through the Fairfax County Rec program. We found some when we go to volunteer fairs, but we are always recruiting volunteers. We love to learn new things, and so if anybody knows how to play a musical instrument or knows how to do drama or stand-up comedy, we would love to learn all these things.
Actually, I happen to know people who know things about
Really?
things like improv and poetry.
Oh, that would be so fun.
I know people who know things, and I think I can hook you up with some people who would
be awesome.
We would love that.
Absolutely, but I think people don't know about you, so that's part of it.
Exactly.
There's people who are more than happy to explain to you how they do what they do, but they don't know that you exist. So we really must solve this problem. So tell me again, what are the locations of your 3 clubs?
Fairfax, McLean, and Reston.
And they meet how often?
5 days a week.
Okay, and during the day?
Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays.
Okay.
From 10 to 2.
10 to 2. That's excellent. All right. So, and we know what because Ryan told us what the website is. It's SPARCsolutions.org. And so anybody who is interested in giving their time and their expertise, that's where you would find more information and how to contact either Lee Ann or Donna.
Yes.
So going forward into the summertime, is this all year round, Rachel?
We meet in the summer. We go on field trips in the summer, and we still do the same things we do in the clubhouse. Everything's the same in the summertime too.
So summer's a little bit different because we function out of community centers, and because of the Kids Rec program, we lose 2 of our community centers during the summer. But this is just another way in that we're sort of a scrappy program because we just go out and find other places to hold the club at. So on Tuesdays, we're going to be at Tyson's Quarter Mall,
and then,
which is a wonderful place to practice life skills. We can practice budgeting, we can practice asking for help, and
sometimes we do like scavenger hunts in the mall where we have to find things in the mall and come back and see who can find the certain thing in the mall.
They have to take pictures with their smartphones. We have proof.
Yeah.
And then they come back and show us. And then actually on Thursdays, we have our great partners this year with MVLE, and they just built a brand new community center, and they're letting us come in and use space on Thursdays, which is wonderful. So we're really looking forward to sort of hanging out with them on Thursdays.
That is great. I know MVLE, and they are a very large organization,
They
but
are.
I was not aware that they'd built a new center. So
yes,
how nice is that?
they have a brand new center.
Yeah.
So what kind of field trips do you like, Rachel?
Well, I like, I told you about the art gallery that we were going to. And I like just any kind of field trip where I get to hang out with my friends and learn something new.
What happens on Fifth Fridays, Rachel?
We go bowling. And I'm not a good bowler, but I'm
not a good bowler either.
But I am willing to support my friends who are. So
that's my attitude too. A gutter ball, who cares? We're all having a good time.
Although I love bowling with SPARC because we get to use the bumpers.
The bumpers, yeah.
That's right. It helps a lot.
That's fantastic, bowling. And so, this just opens up such a world of possibilities that I think many people are not considering are available.
Yes.
And so how often do you bring new people into the clubhouse? I mean, as far as bringing new people, or is there a limit to the number of people you can bring in?
So right now we have no limit. We're accepting new people and we have rolling admission. Yep, anytime.
They want to come visit us and see what we're about.
We always welcome visitors to come just to visit our program, to hang out with our friends, and to see if it might be something they're interested in. Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Yes.
So going forward, so we're in the summer. You've got to find, you've got to be creative about all the different places that you find to meet. But it's rolling 52 weeks a year. Or do you ever take a hiatus? No.
So we do take. We actually follow the Fairfax County
schedule. So sometimes we are off when the Fairfax County is off, like for holidays. We are
for holidays and inclement weather. We do follow the school schedule. Yeah. And we do take a brief, 2-week break around winter when the schools are off. But otherwise, we are pretty much open year-round. The only time we don't take off is the summer.
That's fantastic. I'm amazed that you have that kind of staffing.
Yes.
I mean, it seems like, and again, is most of that volunteer staffing, or do you have a lot of volunteers who commit to doing this on a regular basis?
So we would not be able to do what we do without
the volunteers that help us and teach us stuff.
Well, I was going to say the PSAs,
right? PSAs help some of my friends.
In our world, PSA means personal support attendant, which is basically a companion.
They help us do things so that our parents don't have to go with us every place, kind of. So it's they get to hang out with us at the club.
Yes. So we consider personal companions to really help facilitate our club members' independence and help them make choices.
That's fantastic. So they are kind of a really important component.
They definitely are.
Of your program.
Which makes us very unique from other programs in the area.
Yeah, I can imagine that it would. And I can imagine, too, that there's a certain sense among the PSAs, too, of contributing in a very substantive way for everyone.
Yes, we ask PSAs to, sit at the table with everybody. We ask them to participate in all of our games.
They're our friends. We get to know them and they're our friends, so I think that's a really cool part.
Well, I appreciate hearing about the program, Rachel.
Thanks for having me.
Well, thank you for coming on and talking to us. I love hearing about your favorite things and your favorite programs, and you've really helped us to understand what the things that you love best about SPARC.
Thanks for having me.
So when we come back from our break, we're going to talk with Lee Ann a little bit more, and we're going to delve a little bit deeper into how you can find out more about the volunteer opportunities and how you can reach out to people in the community who may not know that SPARC exists. So
I need a job.
Necesito trabajo. I would like to speak English better. Me gustaría hablar inglés mejor.
I want to be a U.S. citizen.
Quisiera ser ciudadano de los Estados Unidos.
For over 35 years,
por más de 35 años,
the Hispanic Committee of Virginia has been serving our community.
El Comité Hispano de Virginia ha estado sirviendo a nuestra comunidad.
Job training and placement,
capacitación, ayuda para conseguir trabajo,
education for children and adults,
educación para niños y adultos,
immigration, naturalization, and medical referrals,
ayuda para los procesos de inmigración y naturalización y orientación sobre médicos
are a small part of what we do.
Son solo una pequeña parte de lo que hacemos.
For help, information, or to volunteer,
para ayuda, información o para ofrecerse como voluntario,
contact the Hispanic Committee of Virginia.
Comuníquese con el Comité Hispano de Virginia,
helping everyone participate more fully in American society.
Ayudando a todos a participar plenamente en la sociedad norteamericana.
Hey, Lena, where's yours?
Would you notice if you were missing half your kidney function? According to the National Kidney Foundation, 20 million people have chronic kidney disease, and 20 million more may be at risk and not even know it. Anyone with high blood pressure, diabetes, or family history of chronic kidney disease is at risk. Early diagnosis is vitally important. To get the whole story, talk to your doctor and visit the National Kidney Foundation at kidney.org or call for a free brochure. Because when it comes to chronic kidney disease, you might not know the half.
We're back to the Inside Scoop. Here again, your host.
Welcome back to Inside Scoop. I'm your host, Catherine Reed. I am talking with Donna Goldbranson, who is the founder and executive director of SPARC, which stands for Specially Adapted Resource Clubs. There are 3 locations here in Northern Virginia. They are 8 years old. They work with various young adults with varying disabilities in the Northern Virginia community. They have a very different model that I have found in the first 3 segments. We talked to Ryan, we talked to Rachael, we talked to Lee Ann, and really focused on how they are different and how they are evolving to help these young adults reach their full potential. And I think the most fascinating thing to me is the focus on ability, this I can rather than I can't, and understanding that the longer these young people are in your clubs and learn more skills, the more ready they are to move forward.
Yeah. To create the life that they want for themselves. And I think our good friends at the ARC of Northern Virginia always say a life like yours. And I think that we're learning, my life is different than your life and different than your next door neighbor, but it's really about trying to find out what preferences, interests, and what do you have that you want to grow and do, and what do you want to see your family member kind of accomplish, and how can we facilitate? We do kind of use the word facilitate a lot at SPARC because that's really what we're there to do. We're there to kind of pick your brain and say, well, what interests you and what things do you want to do, and let's see how we can kind of work that into maybe a job. I mean, we see self-employment as a really great opportunity for people with disabilities. We have a lot of friends on the spectrum. We have friends with multiple disabilities. Like you were very accurate in saying we have such a great varied ability level at SPARC, and it's really fascinating to watch one friend kind of show another friend something that they're interested in, and a whole organic lesson kind of comes out of this. So we call it leisure learning. Therapeutic recreation is really at the core of what we do, and I have to say we have some amazing partners. The McLean Association, the Old Firehouse Teen Center is where we are in McLean. They're tremendous partners. The Providence Community Center in Fairfax with their staff. We have a beautiful state-of-the-art sensory room that's now in the community and available to everybody. So that's one of the draws at that club. And then in Reston, we're kind of out in the community there at the Southgate Community Center. And so Fairfax County has really changed the way we look at people in the community with disabilities, and kind of getting everybody in the community center doing all the things that people without disabilities like to do. And that and adult continuing education, I have to say, are kind of where we started, what our roots are. So that's kind of who we are out in the community.
Well, there's been some drama in the Fairfax County community over the training center.
Yes.
And the lawsuit with the Justice Department, and the horrible angst over so many families dealing with that. And I completely understand every aspect of that. But the whole point was to give people an opportunity to live the life that they could choose for themselves if they had support, if they had education, if they had facilitators, or if they could learn these skills, that they had an opportunity in a much fuller life. And it seems to me that you have embraced that, where we are going, and the fact that it is possible on some level for everyone to have some choices.
Yes, change is happening all over the Commonwealth, putting friends out in the community from the regional training centers. Great work is going on at the Northern Virginia Training Center and elsewhere in the state. And it is possible to have a life out in the community, and it is our goal. But we really have to be, careful and understand the fear that the families were faced with this landmark decision. It was a very good thing in my view, and I'm ready and willing and able to take all of our friends out of the training center and give them a dynamic day. And it's that hope that we really, want to share with everybody coming out of the training centers. But it's a big move. It's a big decision, and there are some great teams of people, the community transition integration specialists that are working on that. But I'll tell you, SPARC is ready, as are some of the other service providers, to be there to help with the daytime, either supported employment or day habilitation programs.
Well, as you said, ready, willing, and able, and we were talking a little bit on the break about the ABLE legislation that was signed into law by President Obama, and Virginia is the first state to craft state legislation that will provide oversight to these ABLE accounts. And I think, again, as in so many things, it's new. I think there's not necessarily a lot of attorneys who have been asked to draw up these trusts or to help families craft a trust around this ABLE account legislation. But I think that's going to long-term alleviate a lot of anxieties that families have as their adult children grow older, and so do they. And the country has clearly understood we need to make better provisions on so many different levels.
We absolutely do. The financial challenges are enormous, immense. Long-term care is a very expensive proposition, and what we do know is with vast amounts of waiting lists, with demand really, really growing, as you said earlier in the show, we have friends on the spectrum. It's a big bell curve that are happening in middle school that we see. We know what the future means to us in terms of demand, and we don't have the funding resources. Medicaid is not going to be able to support our friends over the continuum of life. And so it is imperative for parents with young children to really be exploring and understanding and saving and thinking about what's going to be happening in the future. It's scary when your child is in school, you're busy working in that system and you're advocating for their education, and you don't know what the future brings. And it's almost paralyzing to think, now we have to talk about finances and long-term care. I hope that with programs like SPARC Connects and with the partnerships through the Virginia Ability Alliance and the ARC of Northern Virginia and Autism Society of Northern Virginia, all these people trying to reach back in the schools earlier and earlier, trying to get families younger and younger. The ABLE Act is going to be a great opportunity for people to really be able to save at a substantial level, because long-term care is expensive, and it's not just happening at the last part of your life. For people with disabilities,
so
it's from birth to grave.
Yeah, there's a much longer
continuum of entire life.
And one I think is very, to me, I have a great deal of optimism after meeting Ryan and meeting Rachael, that they are really the best advocates, not just for themselves, but for the program and the fact that there is so much potential that people haven't considered, because we don't really know. It's such an uncharted frontier of what are people with certain kinds of disabilities capable of, and are we selling them short? And have these opportunities simply not existed because we didn't think they were capable, or we didn't think they had an interest or were motivated? Because I think Rachael and Ryan clearly show, no, hello, count me in. I'm like everybody else. I want a community, and I want to have some place to go, and I want to learn, and I want to have exciting adventures, and I want to do volunteer work, and I want to have skills, and I want to be perceived as having value. And why did we think at any point that an institution was an appropriate place to put people?
Well, I don't think I can answer that question, but I do think it's that institutional thinking and supported employment, Medicaid funding, and ratios of people, efficiencies were put around trying to solve a problem, and that does happen. But then you find friends that fall through the cracks, right? I mean, because it's not a cookie cutter kind of a thing. We have a system in Virginia it's quite complicated. It's a labyrinth, and I know why parents just are overwhelmed. It's like deer in the headlights. You want me to figure out what? And I can honestly say, when I do workshops and kind of talk about this transition to community, it's a very exciting time. And as you can see from our ambassadors, Rachael and Ryan, they're thriving. They are, as are all their other friends. We have 26 young adults in our club, and they are all thriving. But they were all scared when they were on that precipice. And so, as we kind of look around and say, okay, maybe supported employment isn't for my adult child, there are jobs that they're just not going to be able to do. That's getting away from that institutional thinking and looking at a little more person-centered and customized kind of life. And maybe Rachael and Ryan aren't going to be bagging groceries at your grocery store, but they have so much potential to be doing other things that interest them. And I think that vocation doesn't have to be the goal right away, and working on the skills that we're working on. I can tell you now, Catherine, some of our friends who have been with us for 8 years, they are so different. And while vocation wasn't what they were thinking when they got out of high school, now they're young 30-year-olds, and they're really thinking, well, maybe I could do a little bit, maybe I could do this, maybe I could do that. But volunteerism and community service is a really big part of everybody's life. We should all give back to the community. So we focus on that and see what things kind of grow and come from it. But you've really captured it when you say, you look at them and they are ambassadors in the community, and they really are able to do, whatever they set out to do, as long as they have the support.
And I love the idea of your workshops, and so we need to get this message out to the community, not just through this show, but and again, I will work with you to figure out how we need to find the people that may have fallen through the cracks because they aged out of the system and now they're not on anybody's radar. So we need to find out who these young people are and how we might bring them into the club, because I think it's such a welcoming, supportive, nurturing environment, because the people in the program, your 26 young people in the program, make it that way.
Yeah, it's a ripple in the community, and I think networking and one friendship at a time, I mean, that's what we think advocacy is, and all of our guys are ambassadors in the community, and parents learn so much from each other. I mean, just in your life as a parent, you're always asking a friend, what doctor did you go to? Hey, what about did you go on vacation there? And what did you buy your car? And how'd you do this, right? And that's what happens in our world as well. And we have people with medical needs and people with, I want to maybe do this social activity. So everybody kind of has some commonalities. One of the things I did want to tell you that's so really fascinating about SPARC, we've talked about our personal support attendants, and so while other programs have a ratio of staff to clients, we have this one-on-one opportunity happening all the time, right? With our personal support attendants coming with their client, and then there's no waiting to take a turn, and there's no, hey, I want to go to McDonald's for lunch, and I want to go over to McLean Pizza, and I want to here and there. Everybody can kind of go and do their own thing because they have their support with them. Well, some of the really cool things that I never expected are happening, and we have friends who have personal support attendants who come from other countries, and they'll say, hey, I'm from Ghana, you're from Ghana, and they share their cultural food and they share things with each other, and everybody is really comfortable with one another because we're out in the community and we're learning and we're doing things together, and they'll say, hey, how about if we go to the movies this weekend? And everybody kind of knows each other.
It's relationships and the kind of real, close, authentic, committed relationships that people have when they spend a lot of time together, and they learn together, and they go places together, and people find out about each other. I think that's wonderful.
And it's really, really fun to watch these personal support attendants love to come to SPARC because we're going to be doing fun stuff. Let's face it, we don't have to sit at home alone. We don't have to just watch TV. We don't have to just go to the mall. We don't have to go to the grocery store. We're really doing fun learning activities. They see their clients in a totally different way. Their clients are growing, the teams are strong, and everybody feels like a family.
Well, this has been amazing. Thank you so much,
Thank
Donna.
you for having me.
Until I heard about this program from Ben, and thank you, Ben Zool. Until I heard about this program from Ben, I didn't know about it. So thank you so much, Donna Goldbranson, the founder and executive director, and it is sparksolutions.org. If you want to share your expertise, if you want to get involved in the community, they welcome you. And if you know people who might be interested in this program, you know where to find the information. Thank you so much. Join us next week for Inside Scoop.